What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Show Me Kayak Fishing Podcast. Today we have got the winners of the MOYAK Winter Series Stop 4, I believe it was, but it was actually the third one on the schedule because Stop 3 got rescheduled. We've got Adam Denningman, who won the Big Bass. We've got Joe Hayes, who took second place with an impressive 80 inches, I believe, and Corey Sims with 81 for first place. So we're gonna talk to Adam first, hear a little bit about his day and some of the fish that he caught and how he did, all leading up to it. So for those of you that don't know Adam, he fishes KMO, MOYAK, River Series. I believe he does some onlines, fishes just about everything that he can get into, and seems to do pretty well at him. He's very consistent. So, Adam, if you got anything else you want to say before we jump into questions?
No, you got it. Pretty much nailed it. I pretty much fish anything I can for the most part if I'm able to. Last year was my first time starting the River Series, and that was a ton of fun. So I didn't even know how to drag kayak until last year. I was wondering how people fish the river, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. So thanks for having me on, and thanks for having this podcast. It's a lot of fun seeing people wanting to talk about our clubs and everything. So, yeah, I didn't have very high expectations going into the winter event. I was alive for AOY, but, man, Tommy's been a tough lake for me. I've got some real nice muskie out of there last year, but that's a tough lake. I've fished about 5 spots there now. I try to keep mixing it up because I want to find, my spot, hopefully one of these times. And I was over there. I've never really fished right in the Nemo area. I was a little south of the Nemo area fishing a place that I had fished last year. And yeah, it was a struggle. I got off to a little bit of a late start. I wasn't feeling too good in the morning. I just took my time. I thought it was going to be cool, but that sun got up quick, and I was regretting it in a hurry because it was feeling a lot nicer than I thought. But I got out there and I struggled for the most part, just throwing a bunch of different crankbaits, jerkbait, A-rig. Lost my A-rig pretty quick, unfortunately, and I just didn't even feel like trying to replace that. I just decided to work on other baits. I tried to crawl on the bottom a lot because I thought, maybe they'd be down there. And also, I've been working on my electronics a little bit. I had that in there and trying to find some areas that I had mapped out that might be holding some fish deep where they might slide up. Now, I was able to find quite a few balls of fish. Most of them were at the bottom of 25 foot or suspended a little bit in 20 foot. I just couldn't get a lure on them. I was throwing stuff at them, but just couldn't quite get anything going. So I went to my truck and swapped a few baits out, and the water visibility was a lot less than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a little more clear than it was. It was cloudy, which didn't help at all, and really windy. So I put some brighter baits on. I put a rock crawler on. I left my scissors on the truck, which was a bummer, because then I shot way off of my ramp, pretty good ways, and I got on a really windy point, and it was blowing me around quite a bit, and trying to fish a big group of trees that was off to the side of it with the jerk bait, and I switched to the rock crawler, and pretty close after that is when I caught that bass. I wish I would have weighed that bass, but it was a whole heck of a story once I caught that bass. I was kind of getting defeated a little bit out there. It was really windy, and I knew I needed to be in that wind. I was bad on it, and I was working that rock crawler, but I wasn't really pausing it. I was trying to grind it on the bottom, and I was throwing some hitches in now and then, and I was trying to go really slow with it. And that wind gusted me so bad that I thought it blew my hood and my hat off of my ear. It was blowing on my neck, so I took my hand off the reel and just felt if it was there. And man, the second I take my hand off the reel, you can see my rod bow up, and that's all it took. That pause. That I thought that I caught that fish suspended in trees, but that's what's so nice about having that GoPro out there. I publish my videos because I just think it's really cool, and I love having the footage. I don't really try to promote the channel, but it's always surprising when you go back and watch. It almost never is the way I thought I caught it, so that's why I love recording. I thought I caught that fish suspended in the trees, And then when I paused it, it ate it there. And that might have been true, but I think it's probably was sitting on the side of that point, and I got it to chase that crankbait. And when I paused it, it just ran right into it. Didn't have a choice. And I'm pretty sure that's how I caught it. But that's one of the bonuses of having that camera out there with you, because there's so many times I'm like, man, I caught that fish right on the bank in about 6 inches of water, and then I look at that video and I cranked that handle like 5 times, and then I catch that fish. I'm like, well, it's a good thing I had that out there, because I didn't even. But especially on a day like that, I hadn't caught a fish in 5.5 hours, and then all of a sudden you catch the biggest fish of the tournament. So it was a really cool moment. I got teary-eyed right when I caught it, because like I said, I tried all day to stay positive. I knew it was going to be a tough day on Pommy, and I knew I was probably going to get knocked out of the AOI, but I was trying to stay positive the whole time. And right when I was starting to get negative, sure enough, I caught that big old fish. And I tried to repeat that pattern, but again, I was just going really slow. I didn't realize at the moment it was on the pause. I caught one more fish. It was a 10 1/4 later, a little bit later, and I was barely reeling it right at the boat, and that thing came up and hit it. So again, it was probably a fish that was following me. And it's always a hindsight 2020, but if I would have thrown in a few more pauses throughout the day, I probably would have done pretty good. But I threw a lot of silent crankbaits, a lot of different stuff that I was doing, stop and goes and that type of stuff. But with that rock crawler, and I don't know for sure, but it sounds like the wiggle warts and the vibrating crankbaits on the stop and go might have been a pretty good thing on the day. So yeah, just a good lesson on always, it's never a bad thing to have that camera, even if you're not trying to have 20,000 people watch your channel. Just to go back and watch it at the end of the day always helps me out big time. But yeah, other than that, it was a heck of a grind for the day, and I didn't catch many fish, but a memory I won't forget. I've only caught 4 21.75s now, and I've only caught 1 22. So I mean, that was a good fish. The reason I didn't weigh it was because I left my scissors on the truck, and I didn't have high expectations, so it was one of those, I'm not going to bring my scale. I've never even caught a fish over 18 at Pommy, so other than a massive muskie, I'm not going to bring the scale. And then sure enough, I catch that, and when I caught it, my top trebles were hooked in the top of the net, and my bottom trebles were hooked in the bottom of the net. So the bottom of the net was pinned to the top of the net. My scissors were in the truck, and the trebles went straight through the netting. So I couldn't, with the pliers, I couldn't get it out. I kept going back and forth between trying to get my crankbait trebles out of the net, tending to the fish, freaking out, and I'm putting the net in the water with the fish where it could have just jumped out easily. I put the fish in the water with my hand a couple of times. I have one of the leashes, donkey leashes, that was in the box that I keep my scale in. And man, it was just, the wind's blowing me all over. I immediately went to a pocket, but the wind was still blowing me all over. It was a disaster. And by the time I finally got the pictures I needed, I didn't have my scale. I just put the fish back. But that thing was definitely 6, and man, she was so thick. She might have been pushing 7. I don't know. It was a heck of a fish and a heck of a moment. And a MOYAKer was right there afterwards and he was changing some lures, and he let me pull over on the dock with him and use his scissors, and I cut that bait out of my net and showed it to him and was like, hey man, I caught one fish on this. I didn't tell him it was a giant because I didn't want to give him false hope or didn't want him out there expecting to catch it. I just wanted, hey, you might catch a fish if you throw this. And so yeah, it was cool. Pretty cool day. And yeah, always cool when you catch the big bass of the tournament, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. Me and Adrian were kind of watching it live, and I remember seeing that fish pop up on the board later in the day, and I figured only because it was you that it was probably a single fish, not 2 that you submitted around the same time, because from home you can only see the totals, and yeah, I know you've got a tendency to find some giants like that, so that's awesome.
For me, I only load them up when I have a limit, and I don't ever look to see how other people are doing, because it's just, there's too much mentally going on with me out there. There are times when I'm so far out of it and so much of the day has gone by, then it's like, okay, let's see who's kicking butt and what kind of fishing styles maybe there's a trend up there and I can kind of figure something out. But I don't ever watch Tourney X, and I don't ever submit until I have 5, unless I catch like a giant. Then I want to make sure it gets in there. And it's frustrating for people that, I don't have a ton of supporters, but my family and a few friends that watch me, because they always want to see some fish. Man, usually they're looking at 0 the whole event for me, because it's hard to get 5. And I do good sometimes, but man, if there's more often times where I got 0 than it is where I got 90 or so. So
that's awesome. I was wondering, and I might have saw this in your Facebook post about it, but I was wondering if you got any practice down there. And if you did, was there anything that clued you in on potentially finding a big fish like that, or did you find some good quality if you got to practice?
No, I didn't get any practice. I try to practice for the MOYAK events the day before, but in the winter time, I struggle with the cold big time. So I usually don't practice. And then I had gone to that Bassmaster series in Florida, so I used several vacation days for that. So I figured no practice in the winter series until we start the regular series, elite series up again. But yeah, no, I didn't practice, and I don't kick myself either, because I need to get better at practicing. I really practice very slow. I don't move around as much, and more often than not, practice goes by and I'm like, man, I went to 2 areas and I barely even fished. What happened out there? And I don't think I would have found those smallies. I'm all about going up the rivers and stuff, but I don't think I would have found that magic. I think I would have gone out there and probably struggled all day, and maybe it would have had me fish somewhere else for the event. I will say I watched you. We all watch YouTube and see how people do. I only watched one video of last year's tournament, and I watched the winners, Mika's video, and he was fishing in the area that I was fishing in, and not seeing him out there was a major red flag. And I'm like, man, how did the guy that won last year, how is he not back in the spot? And I only saw 2 other anglers out there, and neither of them had caught a fish. And it's at that moment where I'm going, yeah, he was probably here practicing yesterday, and this is a pretty dead area. And at that time, I really wanted to, I had like 3 hours, and I could have packed up right then and there. And guys have definitely moved and cracked into them in just an hour or 2. But I just didn't have that motivation at that point in the day that I was going to go do anything. And so I just decided to cover more water and find a few more areas. And I did run into the big bass shortly after that. So no regrets, but you can put those puzzle pieces together when you're out there. And that was a huge red flag, not seeing their winner return to his spot, So, and then, yeah, not a huge surprise to find out the guys, were on opposite ends of the lake, I think. So.
Yeah, what you said about the being willing to move and scrambling, and sometimes people get on them. I don't know if there's anybody better than Zach Wolverton at that. Every time you talk to him after an event, whenever he does well, it's because he moved 4 or 5 times until he just landed on one. He's really good at that. So,
and while I'm saying that, he's in my head while I'm saying that, and I've been with him times where he's been at the ramp with me, and he's got a trailer, which is that's really nice to have. And there's been times where we've been there and he's picked up and moved, and I've gone back and finished with 2 fish, and he's finished in 3rd place. And he's a big motivational factor to me this year. One of my goals this year is just to move more and to fish faster until I get on them, and then slow down.
Absolutely. Oh, well, that's awesome, man. So you had that 21.75, right? And then you had a 10 1/4, ended up with 32 inches for 2 fish in 11th place. I was looking, and I'm pretty confident that only 9 people in this event had a limit. And so it sounds like it wasn't like it was really gangbusters. Maybe the other 2 guys here will tell me otherwise, because they caught them pretty good, but it doesn't seem like very many people really got on them that well. So good job on finding that giant.
Yeah, a couple more fish could have helped me out. There were some people that definitely submitted a few more fish in the afternoon. It seemed like they started biting a little bit better. And I got a couple of short strikes, and I felt a couple of nibbles, but I never really lost anything. Yeah, 2 more fish would have helped me out big. It might have kept me alive, but, it's all good. I'm coming after those wrestling belts this year. I think we all are. That's what I got my eyes on.
Absolutely. Well, with that, he said more in the afternoon coming to you, Joe. I'm wondering, did you notice that as well? I mentioned earlier that me and Adrian were watching the board pretty much the whole day, and I don't think I ever saw your fish get uploaded, and maybe that was lack of service, or you just didn't do it, or did you just land on them in the last hour or something?
No, I caught them pretty much from the get go, and like I said, I didn't have great service. Plus, it was cold, windy, miserable. I'm gonna get my pictures, get my phone put away. But no, I was on them right from the start for the most part.
So with not really having very good service, did you ever check the leaderboard throughout the day?
No, I ran into a buddy. We launched together. He mentioned at one point that I don't know what time it was. It was midday. He said the leader was still around in the mid 60s. So that kind of gave me a little boost because at that point I knew I at least had that.
Okay. Did you know where you were? I mean, obviously you didn't know in the rankings, but did you kind of have it totaled up in your head, and did you think you were sitting real pretty at any point?
I'm pretty superstitious about that kind of stuff. I keep a gap in my head about where I'm around that. But I thought towards the end of the day with the decent idea of what I had, it would be close. I didn't know what the leader had, but myself, I've never even put up over 70 at Pommy, so 80 in the winter. I thought I was sitting pretty good.
Absolutely. I was doing some looking before this, and what I found was that this is I think 2024 shocking reports, but 80% of the bass in that lake are less than 15 inches, is what I read.
I believe it.
Only 20% are over 15, which is just wild. So to an 80-inch bag, is pretty impressive on a lake like that.
It was a fun day. Like I said, we had I travel with a pretty small crew out this way, and actually one of my buddies, Jesse, was the one who helped out Adam with the scissors. But we had all got down there Friday afternoon. Not enough time to go put the boats in, but we were within 2 minutes of a little road that ends in the water. And it's an area that I fished before. And honestly, I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I ran into Adam at that same spot. And I think you were working on a prop on your motor or something. But we went down there just to have a few casts, maybe see if we can get a bite and hopefully get any kind of confidence because it was pretty low going into the tournament. And we went down there for maybe 30 minutes. The two other guys I was with each caught one on a red chatterbait, and I caught one on a little Kayak. So like, well, damn, maybe this is going to be a good tournament. And I was kind of going into the morning going to go with a coin flip about where I was going to put in because been to Pommy so many times. There's not really an inch of that lake I haven't covered at one point or another, and I'm not confident in any of it. It's all just kind of whatever. But seeing what we saw right there, I'm like, well, I'm just going to come right back here tomorrow. And one of my buddies launched with me, and he had a little bit more of a struggle, but between the Kayak and the chatterbait, it was just kind of hit and miss all day. And it was never really that big of a lull. I mean, I probably caught between 15 and 20 fish. My biggest didn't come until the afternoon, but.
Wow. Yeah. You said, well, you don't gotta divulge this, but you said a red chatterbait was what you were chucking around.
That's not what I was using. They used that the day before, which just kind of keyed me in that the chatterbait might work. I ended up using, I think it was like a smallmouth magic jackhammer, and I actually just used a little green pumpkin Kayak as a trailer for that. Yeah, I honestly the morning I only had there was one Kayak that one specific color. I can't even honestly remember what it was now. It was working, but I only had 3 of them. So midday, after I got down to, I had like one unused one left. I'm gonna put this down and see if the chatterbait still worked. And thankfully I did because I caught my biggest fish not too long after that on the chatterbait because I was hoping to I was beating up one spot almost all day. And I left it and went finally, like I said, I caught that bigger fish. Then I was saving that one last Kayak for that to go back and hammer the key spot all day. And it didn't do much after that. I think for whatever reason they kind of shut down late in the day for me. Plus, the wind was absolutely kicking my ass. So
Yeah, it seemed like it was pretty windy and cold in the morning, windy all day. From just watching from home, it seemed like it made things kind of tough. Your big fish of the day was 18.5 inches. That's a pretty good fish
yeah,
for a pound of terror.
yeah, it was nice. It was funny because, like I said, I'd run into a buddy, my buddy Easter. He's actually my teammate, and I told him how I was doing really well, and he's like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "I've only got like 2 fish." This was probably 11 o'clock, and I was just kind of BSing with him a little bit, and I was like, "Well, let's cut across the lake and hit this one other big cove." I was like, "I've been back there once before. There's 2 fish back there," and we went back there, and I upgraded like 1 fish, but I also lost 2. That probably both would have helped. And once we got back out of there, I just kind of let the wind drift me up, pull me all the way back to where I started. And there was one really juicy looking spot while it was blowing me down this bluff wall. And I just kind of circled a few times and hit it. And like my second time through, it hit that chatterbait.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. You said like between 20 and 50 fish all day on that, pretty well on those 2 baits only.
No, it was pretty much, it was only 15 to 20. It was nowhere near 50.
Oh, 15 to 5. Okay.
But
Right.
yeah,
That's still a pretty good day.
Yeah, like I said, I was not expecting that going into the tournament, and most of them were shallow, honestly, too. But yeah, I probably had 10 of them before I gave up on the Kitex because I didn't want to lose anymore, and switched, and then continued to catch another probably 5, 6, 7 on that chatterbait too.
Well, that's awesome. And you said no practice, and you weren't very confident coming into it. That was 2 other questions that I had for you. If you had some confidence coming in, or
Well, it was funny. We were leading up to the tournament, since we live so far away. It's got to be nice weather and something worth getting into before we come down. So 2 weeks before the tournament, I think we were supposed to have 60-degree weather that day ish. And then every day it just dropped and dropped and dropped. And we had that crazy cold front come through right before the tournament. So it went from, oh, all right, we're going to go whack them, to, oh man, be lucky to catch a couple. And then, like I said, that little quick moment that we were just bank fishing and catching 3 in 30 minutes, that's when confidence kind of jumped back up a little bit.
absolutely.
Might be able to do, because all 3 of the fish that we caught that day were 15 plus, just in that little short time. It was like, okay, I'm gonna be back here in the morning.
Sorry, I'm looking at my phone here. I had something else written down.
Even this one for this Saturday, it was supposed to be 74, then it went down to 64, then it was 54, then went back to 64, and then 74, and now it's at 64. It's been bouncing around like crazy.
I'd seen somewhere that we're supposed to get tornado weather.
Yeah, I'm hearing that too. That's what's got me nervous. And then the only thing I see thunderstorms for is the night before. Yeah. And I drive down usually at that time, so I'm like, oh boy. There's been some times when I've drove down there severe weather, and it's nerve wracking.
Yeah,
just when you got your kayak on the back, that's your baby on the back. You can't have nothing.
Joe, I was wondering if there was anything that you'd change about that. Was there any kind of a mistake that you felt like you made, or just, I mean, other than losing those couple of fish? But
not really. I probably should have tried more stuff, but what I was using was working. So, I mean, usually I'm a throw the kitchen sink at it kind of guy, and honestly, it's probably the first time I fished just a single swim bait Kayak by itself in years, and it just happened to be, I only had it on because I broke something off while we were messing around on the bank, and thank God it happened, because like I said, it was the ticket that morning. Like I said, that first fish I caught was probably one of the few 15s, and it was in the back of his throat, and they were choking it.
Wow, that's awesome. Adrian, you got anything for Joe?
I do not. You covered everything.
All righty. Well, Yeah, thank you, Joe. That's an awesome day. 80 inches on Palmy is a good day anytime. I think it was about an average of 80 there both days. The Classic last year that won, or not the Classic, but the championship. So I might be wrong about that. Somebody can let me know if I am. But moving on to Corey, the winner, 81 inches, just edged out Joe, and Joe just edged out. Was it who came in third? Was it Tyler Alexander, I believe?
Yeah, with 79 inches.
79. All righty. Well, Corey, why don't you tell us about your day?
Well, I didn't really plan on fishing. I'm not a big fan of Palmy. Past few years it's just been horrible weather. You know, we had the flood last year where water came up a foot, and then the tournament. I don't know if it was the year prior to that, but we had the lightning storm, and I got caught in that. Had to sit on the bluff side for an hour and a half. And I think the one before that was the hail, or it was a tornado or something, and then the hail. I think the hailstorm was my first when I first started kayak fishing. But I've never really done good at Palmy, and so I never really liked to go in, you know, due to the weather situation stuff. I just didn't plan on going. We were going to go up north, and I was going to fish with Stoney, and we decided to cancel that. And then I was like, well, I'm going to fish somewhere. So I ended up going to Palmy, and I can never make up my mind. I don't like to pre-fish, because usually if I pre-fish and do good, I don't do good in the tournament. So I just never do any pre-fishing. So it's kind of when I'm going to the lake, I'm playing rock, paper, scissors with two hands to see which way to turn, you know. And I ended up at a gravel road and put in at a gravel bank on a point, and I think I was throwing an A-rig at the start, and didn't have any luck. And then I caught one on a red chatterbait. I think it was about 9 o'clock or whatnot. And shortly after that, I sometimes I have trouble changing what I'm doing, you know, in different conditions. In a chatterbait, when I have a chatterbait in my hand, that's usually one that I don't like to put down. I've done pretty good with them. I got to a point on a flat, and I just so happened seeing a wigglewort in my box, and I picked it up and put it on, and I caught one right then. And then I looked down where I was at, and I was on a flat and a ledge. And I said, well, maybe I'll just try fishing, you know, ledges where it's got a flat close by or whatnot. And I kind of stuck to that until probably noonish, and I caught 3 or 4 by that time. And I got to another big flat, and that's where I caught the 18, I think 18 recorder or whatnot. And I was in the lead then, and I think I had 76 inches. And I looked up, and Tyler had finally got his fish posted, and it had 79. And I was like, well, crap, it's 2 o'clock, and that, you know, it's over now. You know, I'm not going to be able to upgrade it. And I kid you not, I put my phone up, and that next cast was the 18 and a quarter. And then upgraded again after that. And I caught a handful of fish after that. They were pretty small ones, but I think I ended up with 10 or 12 fish, fishing the flats with that wigglewort. I got the wigglewort hung up a couple times, and I didn't think I was going to get it back. I was pretty concerned about that. So, but all in all, it seemed like when the wind was blowing the hardest is when they were really hitting. So I stayed in the windy, whatever sections that I was most uncomfortable at was where I stayed, in the wind. So, what else? There was a few times where I just wanted to go back to the truck. It was the wind was just brutal, but all in all, that was about it.
At one point, me and Adrian were on the phone actually watching the leaderboard, and Adrian predicted you winning this event. And what was it, maybe 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning? It was before you got that 18 and a quarter on the board. He saw your 17 and a half and your 15 and 3/4 on the board, and he said, he told me, I think Corey's going to do it if he gets a limit of 14s and 15s, but a couple of guys kind of forced you to get that big 18 as well. But
Yeah, I was pretty happy when I got that one. It was kind of a downer event, and then back up to excitement, and I was kind of glad that it was by far the best day I've had on Palmy. So.
Would be for me too, definitely. I'm seeing here that you got 5 and you culled 3 times. I'm guessing you probably caught more fish than that, just didn't cull, or?
Yeah, they were short. They were just little short ones, but it seemed like they were biting when that wiggle wart just got out of reach of digging in the bottom and was coming up is when it seemed like they were hitting like that. But I tried to stick to the ledges that were close to the flats. And I think I heard that on a video, to be honest with you, recently. In pre-spawn, they're coming up from the bottom and are going to be looking for food on, close to a flat or whatnot. But I didn't see any bait fish on the graph whatsoever. So
I got a question about that. Whenever you got that, you got the 17 and a half earlier than the 18, didn't you? Yeah. Whenever you got that in, did you think you had a pretty good chance then, or not till later?
No, when that one, I believe that was the 4th fish that I had submitted, and I think it was. Maybe that was the 3rd one. Because I looked at the board and I was in 3rd, I think, and Michael was in 1st. I can't remember now. I know I was in the top 3, and that's I said I might have a chance at this. Maybe not, but a little little closer. So there was a thought, maybe, just maybe, cross my fingers a little bit.
Yeah. With that, at any point did you realize like that you had done enough? Like once you hit that 81-inch mark, did you think you had it for sure, or did you think somebody was holding out?
No, I thought somebody was holding out. All day long it was hard to submit a fish. So and coming off of the water, I looked when you had to have the fish submitted, and I think it was like 6 o'clock. And I'm like, man, this next 2 hours is going to suck, just waiting in anticipation. And then he posted, I don't know, 5 or something like that. I thought for sure somebody was going to take it, either Chad or Micah, one of the two.
I was kind of thinking the same thing, if I'm being honest. It's hard to bet against those 2 guys, but whenever I saw the results were posted and your 3 names were on there, I was like, well, yeah, I guess that's how it ended up.
Yeah,
but
I was pretty excited. It was, everybody that was out there that day is a trooper. I'll tell you that. There were multiple times I'm like, I don't want to be here right now. This is bad wind. So I give props to everybody that was out there, for sure.
Well, awesome. Kind of the same thing that I asked the other 2 guys. Did you get any practice in?
No.
No practice.
No.
Man, don't need practice to do well, according to you 3.
I've had bad experience. You go to practice and you do good. It's the exact opposite on tournament day. So I tend not to. And I'm close to the lake where I don't have to travel and stay. So if I had to travel and stay at the lake, I probably would. But
that MOYAK club's so tough. Even when you're in the driver's seat, you just pretty much assume someone's coming. Someone's got. Even when I went on Table Rock in that first Winter Series, I think I had like a 5 or 6 inch lead on the field, and I still, I couldn't feel my knees. I was so nervous.
Yeah, that feeling, like you're just on the edge by the fingertips. You're not knowing if you're going to win or not. I think that's by far the worst.
Looking at the AOY points here for Winter Series, Corey, you're in 5th place right now after that event. Are you making it to the last one to try to defend your placement there and maybe move up a couple places?
Yeah, I'll be at Lake of the Ozarks, so I'll do my best.
Yeah. If nothing else, it'll be good practice for the kickoff of the Elite Series. So.
Yeah. I enjoy fishing that lake a little more than some others. So, as long as them pleasure boaters aren't out there.
Yeah, definitely. Adrian, do you have anything else for anybody?
No, I think they covered everything. Really, everybody was pretty well spoken. So
Very thorough.
Good. Very thorough.
What about you guys?
Well,
You making it to Lake of the Ozarks to get warmed up for that first Elite Series?
I will not be. Well, I don't know if you're asking them or me and Adrian.
I'm asking you and Adrian. Yeah. I
will not be. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna try. That's the plan. I'm gonna try to make it down. If the money's right, I probably will.
I'm kind of surprised we only got, like 11 guys signed up right now. I know maybe a lot of guys are thinking it's springtime and things change so much with weather and rain. But man, being it 2 weeks prior to the first Elite Series, it's a pretty nice practice event for. I thought it'd be more like the other events where we'd have like 30 guys, maybe even 40 people fishing that one. But there's still time for everyone to sign up.
And they will. Typical kayaker.
I was up there this weekend and caught a 20-incher, and that lake's always so crazy because I was up there and I didn't even go in the cold water. I know my friend of the family was catching them in like 42 with the jerk bait, and I was in 48, 53, and 58. But on that lake, it's so crazy. It's like Florida. It should be called the Chain of the Ozarks because it's like 3 to 5 lakes. Only instead of a bunch of canals, you got a big wave pool you got to go through to get lake to lake.
Yeah,
big dangerous wave pool you got to get through.
That's definitely a good way of putting it. Yeah, I was hoping to make it
fun.
there, but it's my girlfriend's birthday that day.
Oh, yeah.
Got to stay home.
Yep.
Priorities.
It'd be a great day for her to have her first kayaking fishing event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a thought.
She probably won't like that.
I know Corey's been pushing the limits with the females and the spouses in the kayak. I've seen his in his bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah. I do everything I can to get on somebody's nerve. Sometimes it works in your favor, they'll tell you to go fishing. So
after seeing that, I might start sleeping with mine before the Elite Series events. That might be the good luck charm to go out there and catch 81 inches.
Yeah. Oh. Believe it or not, she helped me put that on the bed to take a picture.
That's really cool seeing that you have such a supportive wife, and I got a good laugh. You're helping a lot of us bored in the wintertime get through those tough months of January and February.
She's by far one of my biggest. I call her a sponsor, but if it wasn't for her, I couldn't do this. So.
I noticed that whenever I was looking at all you guys' Tourney X profiles before this, and I noticed that you had her listed in all caps with I think 3 exclamation points as your sponsor. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. She's a big part of it.
Well, good. Joe, I didn't hear if you're making it down for the one this weekend, are you?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get down. I'm gonna drive down in the morning, drive home afterwards.
That's
Be a
right.
long-
Yeah, I just forgot.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, it's all good. It's gonna be a long day, but we'll see if it pays off. I still
Well,
don't know
good
where
deal.
I'm going, but
Yeah. Well, that's all I've got. If you guys got anything else.
The best
Alrighty, it's gonna
advice
be
I
a little.
give the guys for Saturday is that lake is very low. I don't even know how you prepare for that, but man, it's just
they dropped
it's
it
low.
7 feet, didn't they?
Yeah, it's the lowest I've ever seen it. And there's been some, I've heard some people that have fished it a lot longer than I have saying that they can't remember a time seeing it so low. So on the bright side, I'm hoping, the All-American Kayak Series has been flooded for 2 years in a row now, and they've dropped it so low that hopefully it'll help maintain that level over there in Truman. Get us. Oh man, I want to see a nice All-American Kayak Series of not 12-foot high this year.
I'm spied.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been on Truman when it's not been 14 foot high.
Yeah, my rookie year was when we had that hailstorm, and that year at Truman, it was normal pool. Man,
Mhm.
it was a lot of fun. The lake wasn't, when it's that high, everyone clumps together, and in this part, everyone was spread out. And I was a rookie, and I put up 80 inches 2 days in a row, 79 in one day, and 83 and a quarter in another day, and it was a lot of fun.
Alrighty. Well, I think that might be it for this week. Thank you guys, everybody, for coming on. Thanks for sharing your time with us. Congrats on the awesome day that all three of you really had, and good luck in the next one. Sounds like you're all going to be there, going for the AOI or just going for hanging out. But again, thank you guys for joining, and good luck next time.